What if you were so good at something that is extremely specialized in your field that there's no one out there that can do that in the same way that you can? What if that was something that people actually were looking for, that was of value to them, and that you could provide in exchange for some other services, maybe in exchange for finances, maybe in exchange for opportunities? Well, if you build something unique about yourself, life is going to become much easier once this overlaps with everything that other people are looking for. And that's going to kind of become a very nice and easy life to live. Hello and welcome to the Artful Maestro Podcast. I'm your host, Nenad Leonart, and I'm happy to be spending another episode today with you here on this channel. Now, it's everything about helping out classical musicians make it in the 21st century. We have a lot of changes, we have a lot of new developments, we have a lot of new mindsets to actually pay attention to, and most of all, so many opportunities. The world has never been changing this fast, and my goal is to help as many people as possible achieve all their dreams and make it into a reality. There's no better time than to start today, and that is why the Artful Maestro Podcast is here. I also coach, I also train, I also help out other classical musicians in many different fields around personal development, around digital media, around recordings, so that they can actually just thrive with their careers and one step at a time achieve what they have been dreaming about. Now, if you are somebody who is interested into getting in these types of fields, shoot me a message. I'm very approachable. Don't be shy. You can drop a comment. You can join the Artful Maestro Inner Circle community, which is a community that I've created specifically for classical musicians so they can grow together, help each other out, and be of service to one another. This is going to be a foundation of your future career where you get to network with other people, where you get to see the best practices, and you kind of grow. Probably if you've never heard of a mastermind and what it does, this is what it does. It's like-minded people coming together, and instead of feeling alone and isolated and like nobody's helping me out here, you get to have a community where everybody is doing the same thing and you kind of progress much faster. You know how when you were studying, like you had your own class? Like most people had this, where you had peers and like-minded people like you who wanted to achieve the same goals. And then you kind of get into this friendly competition type of style where you see, okay, they're advancing, and that's even motivating me to do more and more and more, just so we can kind of help each other out, even if we are not actively maybe helping each other out, but just like the presence helps a lot to know there's somebody else there and they're also advancing. So it's much easier for me to go as well. If you want to join, go look at the link down below, click it and apply to become part of the Artful Maestro Inner Circle community. Now, today we are going to look at what is the thing that is going to make you truly unique. We've already talked a little bit about uniqueness in another episode. However, what is truly going to make you unique is not what you think it might be or it will be. And I'm going to back up a few steps so just that you can understand the concept of uniqueness. The opposite of uniqueness is conformity. And conformity is what kind of shaped our society, what's kind of all the societal rules, everything that's going on. Basically, everybody eating the same food, everybody using the same language, behaving in the same way, kind of dressing like one another. So if you look at people you'll see that we come from a tribal culture. Tribal cultures were like in the jungle or in the prairies, or whenever they were moving around, like there were small tribes of humans, which is, I think they found it's around 50 to 100 humans large. And one of the proof of that is if you look at your social circle, if you look at the names of the people that you kind of interact with, how many of them you can remember, you have like around 50 to 100 people. That is like your social circle that you kind of actively can engage with. But outside of that, it's a remembering. It's like not present for you. And the reason being is that we are not wired to be interacting with more people. We are wired to just have like a tribe of, again, 50 to 100, and then that's it. And everything on top of that is like our modern world, our modern society, and we have to find ways to deal with it. But how nature made us, it's kind of pretty small. And if you look at how people are behaving, you will see a lot of small tribes being built in our society, right? So we have like the huge society that you can call the world, like all the humans. Then you have like sub-societies that are maybe like countries, and then you can go even lower, which you have like different regions and like just geographical standpoints, right? But also then you have different age groups that associate with one another. You have different interest groups that associate with one another. You have many, like it gets smaller and smaller and smaller to, let's say, like a high school friend clique where you're just like 10 of you, and that's like your small tribe. And now there's many different traits to a tribe, like what makes a tribe. And it's usually the usage of common things. Is like being using, I don't know, let's say the same kind of clothing, or using the same kind of words and expressions, or using the, like in the case of, let's say the soccer championships, like they all have their own dress code. Like every country has their own kind of color, and you can differentiate them from one another. And that's kind of where conformity comes in. Like if I want to be part of a tribe, I have to conform to the rules of a tribe, and kind of the rules are made in the tribe itself. That's what's going on. So you know now what conformity is, and it is the opposite of being unique. Now, the concept of uniqueness is when you look at how we come into this world, like there's the genetic processes of, the sexual reproduction. So you have like one gene and you have like the other gene from mother and father, which then like the chromosomes, and then they come together and they splice into a new kind of cell, and then everything is going on from there. So this is actually ensuring that every individual that is made through sexual reproduction is being unique. And it's kind of, nobody looks like you. Like there can be people who look very similar like you, but nobody looks exactly like you. There's no way that like the brain works in the exact same fashion. Like, the thing with the fingerprint, right? Every person has their unique fingerprint. And so we're kind of made biologically to be unique. And then we kind of go out and we start building these societies, which are built on tribes, which kind of ensure our survival, which are kind of forcing us to be conforming. Because if you don't conform, you're not going to be part of the tribe. That's like a very, very old thing that we have ingrained in our brains. If you look at today's world, there's not much sense for us as humans to be forming these tribes, and we are kind of born unique. But if you look at your life, how it was up until today, very probably most of the things that you have been doing and most of the things that you have been through, they are actually not speaking of a very elaborate kind of uniqueness, but it's a story of conformity. It is, I'm trying to get into this school, so I have to conform by doing this, 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 and this. Or I want to do this kind of job and I want to apply for this kind of post, so I have to do this, 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 and this. Same thing, like when we were small, growing up, there were so many rules and so many things that we needed to adapt that, to be honest, all along the way, we kind of forgot how it is to be unique. And everybody of us goes like, yeah, but I'm unique because I do this and because I do that. But do we actually really know ourselves? Like, once we differentiate all of these things, I've come across a very interesting concept that completely sheds light on this, and it's called identity versus identification. And I really love that, because identity actually, in the meaning of the world, means two things that are the same, right? Two things that are the same. Now, in our world, we are using identity a lot for like, I don't know, like a corporate identity, like a identity of a country, identity of a school, identity of a community, and so on. But these are kind of separate bodies. And they are actually identifications of many people coming together and saying, I identify with this kind of thing. It does not mean that they are that thing. And there is a very interesting kind of switch going on, where if, let's say, we don't know who we really are as a person, like if we, let's say, lose our identity, and this can happen really early on, like if we don't even are able to create our identity as kids, we kind of never found it, so we even never lost it. Let's say we don't have an identity. What we are going to do is we are going to try and find all different kinds of identifications to become part of something. I found this really interesting question, when I was learning about how to connect to people, how to be networking, and so on. One of the main things that I learned, if you want to truly like connect to the core of a person, is to not ask them, like, if I ask them who they are, not to go for the answer, like I'm a cellist, or, I'm a teacher, because these are identifications with some kind of larger groups. And usually you want to go like pull through that and kind of try to talk to the person behind all these identifications. We're so used to just be part of something that even if we are asked like, who are you? We just say that. We just say, well, I'm part of this, so it means I am that. However, identity is a little bit something else, because identity is actually taking care of everything that you are inside, which is kind of unique, which is kind of, you can't put that into two words, okay? Do you see the difference here? It is a very, very unusual concept for us to understand, because in the language, it's often used as one and is the same. However, the only thing that identity is basically finding out who you are on the inside. And that is also the very easy answer to today's question. How on earth can you become so unique that you are the only person doing your thing? Well, it's easy, just by becoming yourself. What a stupid answer. Become yourself so you can be unique. And it sounds kind of corny, just be yourself, right? on the same time, if you look at your life, if you look at everybody's life, if you look at how we have behaved as an individual, as a society, as part of a family, as part of a system, we have never been really, really connected to ourselves. We've kind of always strived to do the thing that will allow us kind of to be most of ourselves while taking into account all these other things that we need to conform to. Like, again, our family, the society, the social status where we were born into, and so on. So we kind of took our uniqueness and chipped it off along the way, just a little bit and just a little bit, until out of this, let's say, very unique potential that we had, we kind of polished it up in a way where it's something that is sort of presentable, but has completely lost all of its appeal. And the appeal is the unique. But if we are trained to not be unique, but to be something else, how on earth are we going to be unique? You see the problem here? So the solution would be to take a step back and just try to disconnect from that need of trying to belong. Like, I need to belong to a certain tribe. I need to belong to a certain group of people. And if you are able to kind of internally just breathe through it and say, I really don't need this. Like, I understand my instincts, kind of, I'm wired this way because like I'm a, I don't know, very evolved monkey, but I don't really need this to be shaping my life, because in today's society, I can be whoever I want to be and I can be whatever I'm going to be. That's the big freedom that we have. So by understanding that, taking a step back and just releasing yourself from these bonds of conformity, you can start to get to know yourself a little better. And these pieces that you chipped off of your uniqueness all over the years, you can start collecting them and putting together your actual uniqueness by doing that. And that is what is called authenticity. So that is by non-apologetically being yourself whenever, wherever, in what situation, understanding that there is no need for you to conform so you can get approval of other people, so that other people can like you, so that other people will put you into a place where you are kind of liked or loved by them. Because that is, if you want to say it that way, that is kind of buying love. That is kind of being, okay, I will pretend to be something that I'm not, just so you can like me, just so you can, take me into your tribe. And this is very normal, by the way. Like, all of us are doing this all the time. So being authentic is really, really hard, because it needs so much self-reflection to take these steps back and to really go, oh, yeah, I am doing this. And I had no idea that I'm doing that. It's kind of like a blind spot that I wanted to belong somewhere. So I started kind of sacrificing parts of myself to be able to belong there. The good news is you belong. We have a society where everybody gets to belong. And even if people sometimes try to pressure you into, because that's a big one, right? People trying you to pressure you into belonging, to pressure you into being some kind of conformist and so on, it's still not really going to work out for you if you try to go that way. Because what's at the other end? It's, again, the same people that kind of are making the rules a little bit, and they're saying, oh, well, you tried, but you're not good enough. And that's the idea of gatekeeping. That's the idea that we have today, manifested all throughout classical music, where it's so hard to get into anything unless you conform, and then you kind of do everything to be part of it. You get into there, and then you're still forced to be conforming for the rest of your life. I think like well over 50%, if I remember correctly, it's like around 70% of orchestra musicians are taking medication just to be able to withstand the stress that they are going through every day. And most of this stress is produced through having to perform at an extremely high level by doing things that they don't feel are 100% authentically them. And so you combine the conformity and you combine with high stakes pressure, you get a concoction which is going to be very terrifying at the end of the day. And some people can do it for a long time. Some people break off. I'm sure you know a couple people who just couldn't withstand it. And sometimes they say like, well, you know, they're just weak, or they had bad luck, or they had this and that. But it's kind of like everybody has this problem and everybody's just like being silent about it. Well, let's talk. Let's talk and really understand that at the core of this issue is the inability to be authentic. The pressure of having to live up to someone's expectations. It can be the audience's expectations. It can be the manager's expectations. It can be like even my own expectations, or expectations of my previous teachers, expectations of my parents when I was a child. All of that is happening all the time inside of us. And we are kind of just trying to struggle through life with all of that baggage. So where is the place for authenticity? Where is the place of being unique? And the importance of being unique is not just that you don't have the stress and that you are kind of, you know, maybe having a better career. It's actually about doing something for yourself. It's actually about becoming the person who you were meant to be. Like nobody's going to give you the approval to be the person you want to be. You got to take it. You got to get up in the morning and say, I am going to be who I am supposed to be. Nobody's just going to come and hand it over to you on a silver platter, or like be, okay, let me help you do that out of the blue, because that's self-responsibility. You yourself are responsible for going this way and for actually changing all of your internal circumstances so that your external circumstances can change. Once that you understand where these expectations come from, why you want to conform, why you need this approval, why you need this love from other people, and you understand like what's missing beneath that, and you understand how you can solve that. That's like really personal development, right? What are my like really deepest needs that I'm trying to get met, and I'm trying to make it in the world and getting all of these external things, but they never kind of fulfill me on the inside because I'm still looking for that one thing and I don't know what it is, right? If you are able to breathe through and start seeing these things, it's not just going to be one thing, it's going to be many. You get to be in a process that is going to self-perpetuate because your life quality is going to get better. Your stress levels are going to get lower, and you're going to be more and more yourself, which is also kind of going to be just a more lighter and happier feeling. And you will see that life can actually be very, very light. And life can actually be very, very fun without having to cope with everything. But just by being and existing, you get to like have your own version of success. Because I do believe that we are kind of meant to be made perfect in that kind of sense. Obviously, there's a lot of things going wrong along the way, but we kind of have all the resources that we can access to truly be happy, to truly be fulfilled, and to truly be able to live in a unique way from this world. Like to have your unique legacy and to have done your unique thing because you lived your life. You didn't live someone else's life. You didn't do what they kind of wanted you to do, but you lived like what you actually wanted to do. And this is something that can give you a very light boost to go into the direction where you want to go. You can just take your time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and just close your eyes and think about this, like you at your deathbed in, I don't know, 50 years or 80 years or 200 years. Just you at your deathbed looking back at your life. Close your eyes and imagine it and try to find out what you want to see. Like, what are the things that you have done to have this feeling of accomplishment? To have this feeling of, I've finished my task that I came to do here. I did what I was meant to do. Meditate onto this for a couple minutes. Think about it. Pause the podcast right now if you need to. And just take your time and see what comes up. And that's going to be the first piece of yourself getting reclaimed. So pause now and do the meditation. Okay. Did you get this feeling of stepping back and seeing everything from a new light? Understanding that all these small things, they don't really matter, but that there is actually something greater at stake. And it can be even scary. It can be even really, really scary to look at because it's this huge thing. And that could mean that maybe you've lived your life up to this point in a way that wasn't truly authentic to you. And it's not something that is going to change from today to tomorrow. Like it might. I know people that have completely changed and turned their life around in a very short period of time. Maybe it's baby steps. Maybe it's just doing the first step and understanding, oh, this is what I actually came here to do. I know this for myself. Like I did do music because I decided it upon certain criteria that I was looking at the time where I wanted to study it. And at the same time, I always knew that sometime in the future, I'm going to be helping people. I'm going to be helping them achieve something that they didn't have, helping them realize their potential, getting more success, getting more in touch with themselves. I always knew that I'm going to do that, but I never knew when that was going to happen. And it kind of just happened. Like life made it so 10 years later, I took the path that I said that I was going to take. And it took me to finish my music studies and to really specialize in that field first, so that I also have something that was meaningful to me as well. And that is what it is about, like finding out who you really are. Maybe you find your new voice. Maybe you find the style that you always really wanted to play, but everybody else was making fun of. Maybe you start writing your own music because you always wanted to do that, but kind of never had the courage to start. Maybe you find out that your profession is related to music, but not necessarily music. Maybe you can do both. Like, I love doing both. Maybe. There's a lot of maybes, and there's just one story that is as unique as you are, and that is yours. So make sure to take the step towards your own uniqueness and your inner authenticity. That was it for today. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Do let me know in the comments. You can write me an email, shoot me a message. I read through all of those, even when I don't always reply. It's very meaningful to me to understand how I can be of service to you, how I can help you, what is going through your mind, what are your challenges, what are your obstacles that you maybe need a little bit of help with. That is really helpful for me to know so that I can help you. Having said that, it's been great having you here. I hope you got out a lot, and I'll see you in the next episode.